Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into my official NFL Top 10 Best Bets for week number 1. Week 1 is never fun. It's always a lot of variability, but we will see. Kicking it off with number 10, I am going the Thursday night game, the Detroit Lions plus the 4.5 on the road at Kansas City. Kansas City at this point simply has no receivers, with Travis Kelce probably missing this game. That's the reason I would be picking Detroit plus the 4.5. They were originally plus 6, and I was kind of at odds with that line. But even with it coming down, with the news that Travis Kelce probably not playing, Chris Jones holding out, I do like Detroit to cover. There could be some complacency with Kansas City, getting their rings, Super Bowl champions. They might even drop this game. Detroit very motivated. It will be close. I actually also like the under around 51. I think that's what it is, the over-under in this game, but I'll take Detroit with the value plus the 4.5 with Kansas City dealing with the issues to Travis Kelce and Chris Jones. At number 9, we're going to go the Rams at the Seattle Seahawks, and you can see 425 game, Pacific Northwest. I like the under, 46. This game just strikes me as a lower scoring game. Matt Stafford dealing with the Cooper Kupp issue, very likely not playing in week 1. Stafford was injured all of last year. This is a Rams team that's really in flux. We don't know what their future is going to be. There's been rumors, would they consider tanking for Drake May? They finally have their first round pick. Seems like Drake May would really be a good fit with Sean McVay, but right now they do still have Stafford. And then when it comes to Seattle, there's nothing wrong with their offense. Do I expect Geno Smith to be as good this year as he was last year? Probably not. Geno Smith's had a very strange career where he just kind of came out of nowhere after being a de facto bust for so long. We'll see what happens with Jackson Smith and Jigba. I really like him, but even this, like 23-20 seems like a pretty normal score, and it's very easily going under the 46, so I'll take the under in that one. At number 8, we're going Tampa Bay plus the 6 on the road at the Vikings. Baker Mayfield, not as bad as people think he is. The Vikings always seem to either play down to their competition or up to their competition. Higher scoring game. I love the Jordan Addison addition for Minnesota. They've still got Kirk Cousins, who is a serviceable quarterback, and obviously Justin Jefferson. Losing Dalvin Cook, I don't think it's that big of a loss. Alexander Mattison's plenty good enough. And then you look at the Buccaneers. Mike Evans, is he going to demand a trade? We'll have to see. They do have Chris Godwin, and I do think this ends up being a little bit of a higher scoring game with Tampa Bay. They might even be leading going into halftime, surprising some people, but a lot of the sharp money is on Tampa Bay to cover the 6. It's just simply too much against a Minnesota Vikings team that really struggles to put away opponents at home in previous years. At number 7, it is Green Bay traveling to Chicago. There's a 425 game. I love Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears -1 against Jordan Love. Number 1, you've got the whole idea that Green Bay really has struggled in week 1 games the past several years, getting blown out. You could say, well, now they have Jordan Love. To me, that's just even more reason to take Chicago and a motivated Justin Fields who's trying to prove that he's a franchise quarterback. Their record last year, the Bears, was super inflated when they decided to tank after about 7 games. Week 1 of last year, it was a rainstorm, but still, week 1, they beat San Francisco. So this is another game. I just am not buying Jordan Love at this point. I understand the whole thing with Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers waited his turn. Maybe if Jordan Love does as well. There's no way I can give Jordan Love the benefit of the doubt in this game. I have to take Justin Fields basically in a de facto pick'em with a new weapon in DJ Moore. The rushing ability's great. He's out to prove himself. And you also do have the Bears defense who plays better, significantly better at Soldier Field with that opening weekend crowd. I will take them winning this game fairly easily there. At number 6, we do have Miami traveling to SoFi Stadium to take on the Chargers. Probably a neutral site type game. And sometimes you just got to take the obvious thing. These are 2 young quarterbacks. They want to get off to good starts. I think both Tua and Justin Herbert throw for 3 touchdowns in this game. It is a very easy over, even though it is 51. Will Miami win? I don't know. I do think there's okay value in them plus the 3, but I'm a big fan of the over 51 with 2 young, exciting quarterbacks, healthy. normally early in the season, defenses are ahead of the offenses, but it's not always like that. So I will take this game very easily, being a higher scoring game, going over the 51. At number 5, we're going to go with the 49ers traveling on the road at Pittsburgh. And I got to say, this is a very trendy pick. I saw in several places, this is now down to 1.5. San Francisco sitting 1.5 point favorites. And I do have Pittsburgh winning this game outright. Lower scoring game at home. It is a brutal spot for San Francisco. They're dealing with the Nick Bosa holdout. They're also dealing with the situation with Brock Purdy. To me, let's be honest, guys. The script has already been leaked. We know what's going to happen. San Francisco is going to be subpar. They're going to be 5-5. Brock Purdy, he's a serviceable quarterback, but he's not going to win you a Super Bowl, more than likely being the last pick in the draft. When they're 5-5, they will call up Tom Brady, and he will come out of retirement for the end of the season for San Francisco. They do have a loaded roster. They will probably get a deal done with Nick Bosa, but you do have to wonder at this point, is he in game shape? Pittsburgh, on the other hand, seems so obvious this is going to be a George Pickens breakout year. Kenny Pickett, as a young quarterback, should only be getting better. Their defense, TJ Watt now healthy. They're going to feed off of the energy in week 1. It's a tough spot for San Francisco, going that, time zone difference, Pacific to East Coast, the 1 o'clock game, 10 o'clock Pacific for their body clocks. I will take Pittsburgh to win that game outright. Number 4, we're going to go with Carolina at Atlanta, and I do like the Atlanta Falcons. Not a great number, -3.5, so you are susceptible to Carolina losing by a field goal and possibly losing this bet. But I do think right now, when it comes to predicting rookie quarterbacks, especially early in the season, a lot of their success hinges on supporting cast, and I just don't see the supporting cast right now for Carolina. Yes, it seems like Bryce Young possibly has a rapport with Adam Thielen already, but just in general, this seems like a Bijan Robinson show-out game. There's been talk, he's not going to get that many carries. He's not, first on the depth chart. It's all ridiculous. Bijan was drafted inside of the top 10. There's a heavy investment into him. And the other thing that's very important to remember when it comes to running backs, when they enter the league, that's their prime. So Bijan Robinson, even though he hasn't even played his first game, this is his prime. The first 3 or 4 years are going to be the best when it comes to running backs in the NFL due to the wear and tear that they face. So I do think Bijan Robinson announces himself. And also it's a situation. Desmond Ridder, do I really think he's that much better than Bryce Young? No, but at least he got some serious playing time last year towards the end of the season. They've got Kyle Pitts. They've got Drake London. They're building a decent offense in Atlanta. They're at home. The 3.5 number is kind of annoying, but I do like them to cover that. At number 3, you have the Battle of Ohio, Cincinnati at Cleveland. I love the Browns plus 2.5. I know a lot of people don't like the Browns because, Deshaun Watson, but overall, this is just a great value when you look at Joe Burrow and his struggles against the Browns. You factor in the fact he's probably going to be limited week 1 in terms of his mobility. I'm sure he'll be playing, but I will say the one big red flag, Denzel Ward dealing with that concussion. It could be really rough facing T. Higgins, Jamar Chase without him, but I do think the Browns, they need to this year after having such a bad season last year, or at least underperforming. They do need to come out and win this game at home, and I think they do just that. And even, plus the 2.5, that's good value considering you could see a situation where the Browns lose by a point and still cover this spread. Moving to number 2, it is going to be Arizona traveling West Coast to East Coast to Landover, Maryland to take on the Commanders. I do like Washington sitting -7. This is a weird one because we have seen in week 1, these horrible teams do tend to perform well in week 1. I don't know why, but Arizona is de facto the worst team in the NFL this year. Everyone thinks they're going to tank. Everyone thinks they're probably not going to play Kyler Murray. I know they say they are. I'll have to believe it to see it. But either way, Sam Howell looked really good in the preseason. It is kind of tough trusting Sam Howell -7 in his second NFL start. But we're just going to go with it, 27-8. Maybe Arizona scores a late touchdown and a 2-point conversion in that one. Washington does have a good defense. And then number 1, I am going a 425 game. It is the Raiders traveling to Denver. I will take the Raiders. This line is dropping plus 3.5. There's just great value. And to me, this is a situation with Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos. You're going to have to prove it to me. After how horrible last year was, you could even win this game by 3, and the Raiders are still covering in this one. The Raiders with Jimmy G. People, have their opinions of him, but he's at least a serviceable, decent quarterback. They've got good weapons. You've got Devontae Adams. This should be a lower scoring game. I like the under, but I also like the Raiders possibly to win, but at least to cover in that one. And then this is just a random parlay I threw together. So this is combining both the NFL with college football. But you gotta love it because I do really like the Bears' money line to win. The Ravens' money line against Houston. The Ravens right now are sitting minus 10, I think. That's a tough bet to make either way. But week 1, if you're CJ Stroud going on the road to Baltimore, that is a miserable start. And then there are some college football games thrown in there. I do love Kansas versus Illinois. Great value, minus 150 at home. Oklahoma State on the road at Arizona State. Arizona State's just not a good team. Mississippi State sitting minus 9. UTEP and Northwestern, just horrible offenses. I'll take the under 38.5, and then I will take Deion Sanders in Colorado to carry their momentum from week 1 and beat Nebraska there. Just a fun little parlay. Do not bet that. I just wanted to do that because it is fun. But either way, guys, that is going to do it for my top 10 NFL best bets for week number 1. Make sure you're following me on X. Link to that's always in the description.